Hello and welcome to my tutorial on InkleWriter. This is going to be a tutorial covering the basic functionings of the writing program InkleWriter. It's presented by myself, Rachel Miller. Quick overview, this is a free online interactive writing tool that is accessed by a website, meaning that all students with any device can access it. It allows for the creation of multiple plot lines, which is a writing standard. It contains added tools for creativity. It is innovative both in process and presentation, and it stores user work within the website itself. So let's go ahead and go to that website. I'm going to follow that URL. And this is the main page that you will see. This is our home page. So I'm going to ask you to click Start Writing. It will automatically redirect you because there have been some updates most recently. And this is what you'll be presented with as soon as you get into the program. With my students, I'm planning to have them click Get Started so that they can actually go through the program's tutorial. But for the sake of time and because I want to make sure that I'm giving helpful information, I'm going to click Sign In. This is where you're going to create a new account. So if you don't have one already, you simply follow that, create new account. All you need to do is enter an email and a password. It is, again, completely free. So my information is already plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and click Sign In. These command bars at the top are very, very helpful. There's a sign out. The new option is very important. It's where you create a new story. You can open previous stories that you've saved here. You can import information from your previous stories to a new story that you're working on. There's the tutorial, the share option, which we'll talk about towards the end. The map, which provides you with a story map of what you're writing, which is kind of important for this program in particular, because as I said, it does involve complex plot lines that branch out from the main story. So it's going to be helpful to visualize that. We're going to skip over contents for today, and we're going to talk about read and write as well. Write is where you edit, and read is where you preview your finished product. So it's very important if you're wanting to edit that you are in the write option. I'm going to go. Let's say I'm ready to write a new story. This is a story that I just started working on just as a demonstration. So let's say I go up to new and you're going to be presented with an option to change the title. You just click in it and it allows you to change. You can click on the author and it allows you to change. And I started typing, Once Upon a Time There Was a Wolf. This is where your story will start to branch out. You can click Add Option. By clicking that, this is how I added these two options here. By clicking Add Option, you're going to start to branch that story. So in one reality or in one instance, this might be a big bad wolf, but in a different perspective, this might be a kind, friendly wolf. So let's say I really want to start writing on the big bad wolf, and I get into my big bad wolf, and I'll show you how to add that image and everything here in a minute. But maybe I change my mind, and I want to talk about the friendly wolf. You can always go back to that very beginning part of your story by clicking rewind to here, and it will give you the option to go all the way back to the beginning. And maybe I want to click in the kind friendly wolf. All you have to do is follow those arrows, and that's where you're going to start typing. It will have the cursor blinking, which will indicate to you that that is where you're going to type. And it's very, very easy to add text. But maybe I really actually want to talk about the big bad wolf. So I'm going to go in here. Once I added this big bad wolf option, it gave me the option to add text. And I said he was very hungry. Here is where your story could branch out even further, and you could say, okay, he stole, and you could write a little story about what he stole. Or maybe he hunted, and you could write a story talking about his adventures hunting. The big things that I like using on this program are the bold, italics, and the image options. So I'm going to touch on those. If I wanted to bold this word very, or maybe I wanted to italicize it to add that emphasis, I'm going to double click that to highlight. I'm going to go over to the I for italics, and maybe I think, I don't really need that to be emphasized. So I'm going to double click that again, and simply by clicking that same option, it reverses what you did. To add an image, it's interesting, but let's just go ahead and let's say remove that. I'm going to add an image, and you have to get the web address of the image. So if I'm going to go into like Google Images, I'm going to go and say mean wolf cartoon. And maybe I want this one right here. You will need to either two-finger tap or left click and select copy image address. Go back over to the program and paste that in there and click use. And now your image will appear there. It's very easy, but it's just a little bit different than what I was expecting at first. So what I'm going to show you is a way that I'm planning to use this in my classroom now. We do an art history narrative project at the very beginning using Google Arts and Culture, where the students take an art selfie and they get matched up with a painting that they look most like. And so they have to write a story based around that time period. So here I have the image of the painting that I was matched up with, and I have my story. Here are my two branches of that story. I will show you that in the story map. Here we have one branch and the other branch, and then they converge at the end. They don't ever have to converge, or they can converge multiple times. It is really up to the creativity of the writer. So let's say I have my product, I'm all ready to go. I'm going to share this now. I really want to share this with my students. I'm going to select play the story in a browser simply because that doesn't limit the access to that. And I'm going to copy that. And I, just for the sake of this tutorial, I emailed it to myself. You can email it, put it on Google Classroom, whatever works best for you. And now you're going to be presented with this very polished appearance of your story. And it has all the pictures that you might have entered. It has the pathway for the student or the reader to follow. And for my case, I only allowed for one pathway for each of those. But again, you can make this as complex and branch out as much as you would really like. I'm planning to use this for my narrative project. I can also see this being very useful in a topic of perspective, having multiple different perspectives tied to one topic, maybe for a classroom debate. I would also see this as useful for a sign in or a check in. Maybe you could have a good option and a bad option for how are you feeling today? And it could lead them to something that maybe you can check in with later in terms of some social emotional help. So, in my opinion, the innovation of this program would place it anywhere between the modification and the redefinition levels of the SAMR scale, simply based on how much it transforms the traditional written essay, not only visually, but also in terms of creating really complex plot lines and engaging and being very intuitive with the students.